The Athene Real Talk Podcast explores controversial ideas to stimulate debate and active thinking. These ideas do not always reflect Athene's personal views. Welcome to the Athene Real Talk Podcast.
He has been called the best gamer in the world, hands down.
World-famous gamer and philanthropist Athene.
Gaming for Good, it's called, has raised more than $20 million.
Using his notoriety to raise money for charity.
On activism, science, culture, and self-development.
Proud to have him in the studio today. I would not want to take you on in a video game.
So do you think we should not spend time doing things we love, like watching action movies? Should we just only work even if that makes us unhappy? Well, there you go. You literally answered my question, like earlier with capitalism was an excuse. I debunk it, you start another excuse. Life is not about being happy. Do you understand that? Maybe you learned that as you grew up, but that's not how it works. If your mother is looking at you, she doesn't say like, oh, I'll let you die because I'm more happy being free and going to party. No. Life is about life itself. And when you look at yourself, at your own life as just like, oh, I want to be happy stuff, you're just setting yourself up to suffer, to feel empty, to feel worthless. So is it all about work? No. It's about being responsible. That's it. And it's not a drain. It's not a drag to be responsible. You just do what you got to do. Done. If you strip all the excuses away, you just do what you got to do. Life is really simple, you know. A mother would much rather have a son than partying. At least 90% of them. All human things are motivated by happiness in the end. You do things that make you feel good. Bullshit. Does a cell split because it feels good? Happiness is a tool in evolution. A tool. When you say that shit, you have absolutely no clue what you're talking about. You think I go through life because it makes me happy? I could suffer my entire life. If I know it was for the better, I'd do it. And funnily enough, that's how a lot of these sacrifices have brought your freedoms. Think people go to war because it makes them happy? Thinking people go and fight for their family because it makes happy? There's a lot of people that suffered a lot for what you have. And some because you're a little entitled brat, that it's always been like that. So no, it's not about happiness. It's actually a disgrace when you say that. It's a fucking insult to everybody that has been doing things for something that was bigger than them. It's actually quite narrow-minded. But hey, maybe you grow up in society that makes you believe it's all about that, and that's why you're so empty and depressed. But no, it's not about that. Life is not simple. Life is fucking simple, man. You just do what you gotta do. Done. You know what's not simple? All the bullshit excuses and all the conditioning that is creating all this noise. That is what does make life not simple. You already have everything, you know. All your problems don't even exist, just so you know. It's just all in your head. Why not just let them do whatever makes them happy as long as it doesn't hurt anyone? Fuck that shit. Your happiness does hurt other people. Do you know that how much of your inaction is killing other people? You could save so many people's lives. So it is hurting other people. Even if you just look at everything you buy, all your guilty pleasures, you know at the cost of how much that goes on the world? It's not because you're not confronted with it that it's not happening, but wait a minute, you don't give a shit, right? It's about doing what is right. And doing what is right is defined by reality, not by your feelings. What I find so fascinating is we live in this society, right? I mean, you guys got to think about it because this really boils down how absurd our world is. We literally live in a society where people think they're entitled to their opinions, to their beliefs, to their feelings, and to impose it to reality. They have that sense of entitlement. But your opinions, beliefs, emotions, and all that shit is irrelevant. It's merely a tool. If it doesn't have any impact, positive impact in the world, it's useless. And it's really crazy how people can really go and bring in arguments like, I don't agree, or I don't feel like that. That's fucking irrelevant. Actions have consequences, cause and effect. It's the fabric of life. It's the fabric of reality. You don't go around and say like, I don't agree with global warming. It doesn't make it go away. If you're dying of cancer, you can't just say like, I don't feel like having cancer. I don't agree. No, it doesn't fucking matter. Reality overrides everything. It's same with wanting things selfishly. I want to buy, a nicer car. Everything has consequences. Everything. If you're irresponsible, it has consequences. And when you just look at that and understand that everything else, experience, ideas, thoughts, all this shit are merely tools for life, then you're not emotionally invested in your opinion. You're not emotionally invested in what you want. You're not emotionally invested in how you feel. You just don't give it so much value. You just look at reality, the consequences of your actions, and you act accordingly. Gangster Superman says, I think many people would argue and say taking care of yourself first is the most responsible thing. Yes and no. Being responsible means also taking care of yourself. But taking care of yourself is just making sure that you live healthy, you don't kill yourself. So even in that regards, already everybody is already breaking that like crazy by living unhealthy, not exercising and all that shit. And then aside from that, what you also have is being able to take care of others requires you to also take care of yourself. We live in a society where one does not go against the other because we are already provided with all the required safety net to not have to fear. And that's why we are in a perfect position to help others more than anything. We literally are drowning in luxuries. Every single person lives a more luxurious life than kings in the 16th century. We have the ability to make such a big impact. It's more than 1 billion people living in extreme poverty, like dying for nothing. We can have a change. We can help these people. We are the kings of today. We can do something, and you guys know this, without having to sacrifice too much, honestly. Western Gamer says, I see poverty every day. I don't have to go to Africa to donate to the poor. There is poor in our own country. Yeah, is that so? I'll make you live the life of a real poor guy in Africa and then just compare it with a poor guy in the US or Europe. The poorest in Europe are kings in Africa. Do you get that? They don't starve. Don't say that shit, man. Make yourself look like a fool. Swigalo says, are you calling us killers? Damn straight. All of you guys. What are you going to say now? You say like, how do you dare tell me the truth? Yeah, of course you guys are fucking killers. Every time when you're not being responsible and people die and you know you can do something about it, you're a fucking killer. If there's a kid in your basement, right, and you just have to open the door to let it free, and you don't do that, they will call you a murderer. But if that kid is in Africa, and the only thing you gotta do is maybe type something in a website or whatever, then you're not suddenly, a murderer. It's just like back in the days, 150 years ago, slavery was fine. Today it's fine to live a decadent life at the cost of other people, let them die, it's fine. No, it's not. It's not culture that defines what's right or wrong. Do you understand that? It's reality. And you have your eyes for yourself. You can think critically. If you can save lives on the other side of the world, what the fuck are you doing sitting on your ass playing video games saying like, it's my choice. Fuck you, man, your choice. You just got lucky that you're just privileged, spoiled little brat. To get back to the topic, by the way, why I'm streaming, why I'm putting all this time and effort is to give people the ability to be able to just have an impact and come in an environment with like-minded people where you can really work on what you believe is right based on your understanding of reality. And I said it and I said it again and I said it again, and this information is really vital. It's vital for you guys to reflect on it because it can really shift your conditioning in a way that is much more aligned with reality. When you grow up, you seek approval from your environment, and through conditioning, the reward system, when you put your hand against something that burns, you learn, I shouldn't do that. When you do something in the environment, you get punished by your father or your mother, you say you shouldn't do that. And as a result, what you learn is you learn to navigate throughout reality, through really basic conditioning. But if you do something that you think is right and is fine, and you get punished for it by your environment, then you start really rewriting in your mind like, I need to have these expectations. I have to work. I need to get points. I need to, like your growth gets literally like obstructed by your environment through judgment, through expectations. And as a result, you grow a defense mechanism to cope with that by making excuses to get away from these things you don't really think make so much sense as a child. But as a child, you don't know how to project, you just see what works. And even these excuses, you learn them from your environment. You see other people use them. Just education is not enough because also the teachers, your environment, is part of your education. Knowledge, information is just that. Through imitation, children learn the most. And that's why if you grow older and your brain starts becoming more and more developed, you start understanding that your father wasn't always right, your teacher wasn't always right, your mother wasn't always right, your friends weren't always right. And as a result, you create a better understanding of reality, which you didn't have before. Because when you're a kid, you just blame yourself. When your father is angry at you, you just think it's you. But when you grow older, you start understanding it, and that's why a lot of people go through puberty, where they really go against their environment and the world is against them or whatever, because they realize this discrepancy between their understanding of reality and the way the world works. But they have this entire bag of excuses they have learned from this culture of growing up in this culture of excuses that they still use to justify their lack of responsibility, to do things that they know is not the right thing to do. And while when they were a child, they were trying to crave to do so, They learned how to literally be, through punishment, to not do what they believe is right and gave up, in a sense, hope. Of course, the people that end up working over here, or the people that really think like, I want to make a change or do good, are people that haven't really fully let that go. And these are people that have more potential to come over here. But even people that don't can understand this mechanic and understand that on a fundamental level, what is life? What is reality? The fabric of life and reality is merely cause and effect. It's just action and reaction. Your actions have consequences, and your knowledge based on your experience gives you trust in understanding the patterns that connect cause and effect. So if first it was your parents, then you will trust your parents. You will just do what they say, even if they tell you something stupid like go to university or whatever. Even though people say like in the future these jobs, most of them will be taken by computers, you still just do it. Even if reality is showing you otherwise, you trust what you've seen that works based on your intuition. And your reason is not that developed. If your reason is not that developed, you cannot give that counterbalance based on your intuition. You just do what you emotionally feel driven to. But the problem is you set yourself up to get wrecked by reality when you go about things that go against. And we have grown up to be so entitled in this bubble of excuses and feeling spoiled that we think that we're literally entitled to our opinions, ideas, thoughts, feelings, to the extent that we can even not care about reality. And that's really insane. Like, I've always cared about reality. I've never given that up. But I can tell you, there's so many people right now in the chat that even they don't really care about reality. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about being honest to themselves because they've just grown up in this bubble of this facade of excuses and are just going like whatever. But the thing is, you know that it doesn't work. You know that it goes against what you are. And that's why this environment here provides people to come over and grow from within, to stop making excuses, being responsible, actually growing up, truly becoming an adult and taking responsibility for your actions, because that's how we move forward as a species. That's how we move forward as you as a person. And being aware of that really allows you to find this inner stability, feeling complete, while at the same time being a big part of society and contributing. And this place really enhances that like crazy, because you come over here, there is no expectations and judgment, and you're literally allowed to do what you believe is right. You don't have to be afraid of like, oh, this or that. You don't have to make excuses, but the same applies to you. You don't get to just make excuses and start pointing fingers and saying like, oh, but why are you doing this, or why you're doing that? No. Or settling like, oh, I'm doing good enough. You know, these things are excuses, and that's why being here and falling back into this excuse system won't work and create a lot of dissonance. But that's really something that helps you grow and change, or end up making you leave. And it's always about what is right. What is right is not what feels right. Just so you know, what is right is defined by understanding cause and effect, seeing how your actions have an impact, and just act accordingly. On the other hand, if you go about what feels right, then obviously you're setting yourself up to suffer more, because the world does not spin based on what feels right, but what is right. And that is why being honest to yourself and just looking at reality for what it is really allows you to create this relationship where you can let go these attachments that you have learned to value due to indoctrination and literally like social conditioning. You really learned that. You can unlearn that really quickly. And it makes, you know, like as you guys can see, people that come over here and sit here, it's really crazy how much growth they go through, because suddenly your problems seem to not be there anymore, and you're constantly in the present, and you're really constantly clear-minded and be able to make a difference and have an impact and really grow exponentially. So I would say, guys, apply. You can also check if you want to know, okay, what is it that we can do there? You can check here on this site. You can check projects. You either get some stuff you can work on that you can choose from, or you can come up with your own ideas, but you can't be emotionally attached to them. You have to always look at reality. You can't bullshit yourself. And at the same time, if you have good ideas or whatever, you get to work with like-minded people on it. Like coming over, you only have to take care of your own health insurance. But aside from that, everything is paid for, and you can just work for yourself. You're your own boss, your own manager, but you got to be responsible and not make any excuses. And yeah, that's basically it. By the way, it's not my vision. I want to say that as well. Because you can say like, yeah, I'm really interested in your vision. It's not my vision. I just look at reality, bro. That's all. It's like, was it Einstein's vision that space and time is curved, and especially on general relativity, it's just patterns you recognize in reality. It's not a vision. It's just how it is. When I talk about the things about moving forward and evolving as species and life itself, it's just what reality is what we are. using logic as the way to understand our patterns that combine cause and effect is not a vision. It's just literally the fabric of life and reality itself. Sometimes people, when they come to me, they see what I say as an idea, as an opinion. No, it's not. I just observe. It's just empirical evidence. That's all. I just base myself on empirical evidence, on reality. If you show me like your understanding is flawed because look at these facts, then I change my ideas. I was also talking to Katarina, I explained it, because sometimes people like to talk about themselves and self-pity themselves and whatever. And I say, like, when I talk to people, for a big part, most of the time, I'm just talking because there's not so much to say. And you might say, like, yeah, that sounds quite... Well, if you go to Wikipedia, right, there is no button, a wine button that you can click so you can talk to Wikipedia. I mean, if I'm just saying, like, these are just the fucking facts, what are you gonna do? Argue and self-pity yourself? Yeah, but it doesn't matter. In the face of reality, things just are. You're not gonna go and say, like, yeah, but, you know, I am, like, feeling so bad about myself. Like, you are in a situation where you don't have a real threat. You have your food here, right? You have a shelter. You don't have problems. All these problems you talk about don't exist. So I'm not going to give you any room to celebrate them, to justify your lack of responsibility. You know that. Everybody knows that. There is kids dying. There is people with real problems. You know that. And all the rest is fucking irrelevant. We have a fucking great life. And don't make excuses. And people know that. When I talk to them, they fucking know it. They love to try and pull their tricks that they learn in culture, in society, but it doesn't work here. I just go like, man, you fucking know how much full of shit you are. You know what to do. You know what the consequences are of your actions. Don't pity yourself. Don't be a baby. Grow up. You're not a child anymore. Take responsibility. You're an adult. How old are you? 24? 23? You don't get to make excuses anymore. You just take responsibility. You know better. As a child, I understand it. As a child, you grow up and you look at the world and you don't know any better. You seek approval from your parents. You seek approval from the people around you. But if you grow up, you don't have to seek approval from other people. You seek approval from reality itself. Do you understand? No one should give you approval except reality itself. And you just see that with the consequences of your actions. Done. Don't seek approval from other people. They don't care. They're clueless. Seek it from reality. It's the ultimate approval. Can I be involved in multiple projects provided that I'm responsible for all of them? Well, you come over here. When you were making videos with Reese about stuff, it really made me think. That's why I volunteered 3 months in Africa with ICS UK. But what you won't know is really making most of my values bullshit, and I don't know if I would be responsible as you want. Restaurant, going to ECS UK and going to Africa is just a way to feel a little bit better about yourself. You actually don't care about these African people, man. If you really care about these people, you fucking see how you can have the most effective, impactful way. And that's not by going there. It's about, you know, being as structured and as rational as possible. A lot of people go to these projects, building schools and shit, show some pictures on Facebook, go like, look how good of a person I am. Fucking hypocrites, man. You want to have an impact, you're responsible, you do what is right, not what feels right. You see how you can have the biggest impact and you constantly reevaluate it. Don't be biased. So when people even come to me and say, like, yeah, I've been to Africa, I built schools, that's a red flag. It's like, yeah, man, you just like to show off. There's people that pay, what is it? I know there's programs where you pay 2K or something, so you can go for 1 month and build a school. And it's like, instead of paying these 2K, just donate them to the right organization. And these people will employ people, help the economy, and it will do a lot more impact than you being there making a fucking shitty Facebook selfies. It's actually really disgusting. It's like literally a business. It's like, you know, when you go and you hunt on animals, it's like the hunting, but from a different perspective. Literally going your trophies. Yeah. Validation. It's so disgusting, man. You want to have an impact in the world, you don't brag about it, you just have an impact and you go about it as rational as possible. No bullshit. You think I go around bragging about raising more than $23 million for charity? You think I go bragging about being the biggest philanthropist on the internet? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about what I've achieved. I don't give a shit about showing off that shit. I only care about what I can do right now. That's it. I don't care about fame. I don't care about credit. I don't care about all that shit. Only if it helps me to have a bigger impact. I got invited for the United Nations to speak for them, for the European Union, for Save the Children to come, walk on the red carpet, to go and pick a freaking award. I didn't want to go because I have more impact here. Do you understand that? I could get all the fame. I could be on TVs, everything. It doesn't do shit. Doing what is right has nothing to do with credit or whatever. Nothing with that. It's about impact, about reality. That's it. Nothing less, nothing more. Impact. And you are just brutally honest, you look at the impact, and you guys know all of this. You understand cause and effect. You understand action, reaction. It's the fabric of reality, the fabric of life. You understand the extent to which you understand the synergies, what you trust. And you understand that your beliefs are flawed. You get that shit. But you make excuses because you can get away with it. You can get away with it right now. But you know it's bullshit. You know that people are suffering. You know that you're going to suffer. But life ain't about you. Life is bigger than you. It was there before you, and it will also be there after you're gone. And if you think it's all about you, it's just a bullshit condition, and even that, on a fundamental level, you fucking know it.
Subscribe to youtube.com/AtheneWins. Watch the live stream at twitch.tv/AtheneLive and follow The Real Athene on Snapchat.